Welcome to our February 2022 Portage Mayoral Forum. It is hosted by the Portage Chamber of Commerce. I will be the moderator this evening. My name is Mary Ann Hansen. I'm the president and CEO here at the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank our candidates for participating this evening. We have asked all three candidates to participate. The incumbent Mayor Rick Dodd, candidate Mitch Craig, and also candidate Kyle Little. Kyle Little is unable to attend virtually with us this evening. We gave him the opportunity to have a stand-in to be able to answer the questions, and Nina is going to be answering the questions for him. How the forum will work this evening is all the candidates have received the questions in advance. The community had an opportunity to submit them to us. We shared those questions with the candidates. They will each be given 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to answer each question, and then 2 minutes at the end for a closing statement. If you yourself have a question, I advise you to get a hold of one of those candidates at a later time so that they can answer the question specifically for you. We will try to keep this to 1 hour, so we will not be able to ask all the questions that were submitted to the candidates. And what we will do at a later time after the February primary, which is on February 15th, we will look to possibly have another forum. We will have just the two candidates, and we will include some of those questions at that time. So we have randomly selected the questions to begin with based upon a random hat draw of the names. And so that's how we'll start with the opening statements and also as the questions go along as we proceed. So again, if you are just joining us, we do ask that you mute so that we are just hearing from the candidates this evening. Okay, so our opening statements, the order that they are going to go with, Mitch will be first up. Then we'll have Kyle's statement, and then Rick will be the third candidate. So Mitch, I'm going to turn it over to you. I will also be keeping track of time, just so that you're aware. So it's 2 minutes. I will give you a hand wave, something of that nature, to let you know that you are getting close to your time, and then we'll move on to the next person. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mitch, for your opening statement.
Thank you. And I'd like to welcome everybody for joining us this evening. And I guess what I'd like to talk about first is a question I get asked every single day as to why do you want to be the mayor of Portage? I'm running for the mayor of Portage because I've been approached by a lot of citizens in our community from all walks of life who asked me to run for mayor. Over the course of the last 6 months, the citizens have asked me and approached me, and through a lot of thought and a lot of conversation with my family, I decided to run for the mayor because the citizens have expressed to me that they believe that there's a very serious disconnect between our city government and the city and the citizens of Portage. They don't feel that their voices are being heard. They don't feel like they're involved in the direction and the future of our city. And they'd like to have more say about what happens. And until we're not utilizing our greatest aspect in our most valuable aspect in our community, and that's our citizens. We need to get them more involved in what happens. We have a lot of great citizens in this community who have a lot of great ideas, who are very innovative and creative, and we need to be able to utilize that asset to our advantage. You know, seems to be a lot of disconnect with the people. That's how they feel. And until we acknowledge that there's a problem, address the problem, and fix the problem's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And the reason that they look towards me to run for mayor, because they see how I interact with people every single day, not just at my place of business, but at the gas station, at the grocery store, at the bank, and just out in the community. And they see how I talk to people, how I treat people. And that's why they asked me to be the mayor of Portage.
All right, thank you. I'm going to turn over to Nina to read Kyle's statement.
All right. We're at a pivotal moment. You can hear me, right? We're at a pivotal moment, and because of that, I'm offering myself as a change. I'm offering a new voice to City Hall, one that has experience, but also has a change of vision. I will not tell you what you will get. I will instead, as a leader, ask you what you need. I have a track record that shows I am listening to the people.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Dodd.
Yes, good evening. If reelected as your mayor, I plan to continue to support the businesses already here and any new ones. But most importantly, support the citizens of Portage. They are the real reason why I am running. They are the lifeblood of the city. I have almost 20 years as an elected official. During that time, I have fairly and honestly represented my constituents as an alderperson. During those 12 years as an alderperson, I served on a number of standing committees, some of those as chairperson. As a member of Finance and Admin Commission, I implemented several changes to the budgeting process to make it more streamlined. One of my accomplishments was also to get body cameras for the police department. These have proven to be a very useful day-to-day operations of the police. 6 years as your mayor, I have built and will continue to reinforce the partnerships with the county healthcare providers, Portage Community School District, and Madison College. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our first question, it will be going, just so that you can prepare, it will be, first up will be Kyle. So Nina, to be prepared with your response. Our first question is, what do you feel is the top issue facing Portage now, and how will you address it if you become the next mayor? Nina, go ahead.
Economic development is the top issue. As your mayor, I believe positive economic growth hinges on the availability and capacity of underlying systems that support it, namely our infrastructure. Examples of categories of infrastructure that directly affect our ability to live, work, play, and produce economic expansion and development are clean water, surface and drinking water, roads, bridges, transit systems, airports, water and sewer systems, dams, ports, and energy systems. Infrastructure provides the foundation of Wisconsin's and Portage's economy and is integral to preserving our high quality of life. We must tackle economic development first to begin the process of rebuilding the city of Portage.
Thank you. Mitch, you are up next to answer that question. Do you need me to repeat it?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I believe that I'm gonna choose infrastructure because I believe it's the backbone to our community. We need to show that we're progressive, forward-thinking community and that we care about the quality of life in our community. And what I would do is sit down with the department heads and come up with a list of top priorities that need to be fixed and need to be taken care of and addressed. And then we would make the list, and then we would come up with a solid 5-year and a 10-year plan, not only to fix it, but how we're going to pay for it. And then we would go out and execute the plan.
Thank you. Mayor Dodd.
Yeah, I believe the top issue, excuse me, facing Portage is growth, business growth, as well as housing growth. Over the past years, the city has focused on business retainment first and new business second. The city has performed well at business retainment with expansions at established businesses such as St. Gobain, Dawn's Foods, 2 at Weiser Concrete, 3 at Capsis, Cardinal Glass, Rayovac, AMPI, HG Miggs, Loggerhead Deco, S&L Companies, and Portage Lumber. We also have secured new businesses such as K&M Tire Distribution, Asphalt Paving Systems, Aldi's, Velco, AMM Incorporated, RTP Company, and RMP Home and Harvest, along with several new coffee shops and restaurants. Housing will begin with a major development on the north side and continue to encourage business and housing developments to enable the growth and provide a broad-based tax increase for the city.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, Mitch, you will be the next one to answer this question going first so that you can get ready. The question is, as mayor, what would your policies do to improve the business climate in our community to attract better paying jobs and promote people in our community to get back to work?
Well, I think that as a community, we're very fortunate that we have a good climate is already good. We have a very good balance in our community between industry and small business. And that is what helped us survive the last 2 years of the pandemic. A lot better off than a lot of cities because we do have a very good balance between industry and small business. As far as the pay goes, I mean, you can look around right now and it's at the jobs that are available, and it's pretty easy to find a job right now anywhere between $18 and $25 an hour with the signing bonus. So I don't necessarily believe that there's a pay scale problem within our city. As far as the getting people back to work, I think that's a very complicated issue. I think there's a lot of things involved in it. I think one is housing. I was very happy to see that the city announced the development up on the north side for the housing. In talking with bankers and the citizens of Portage, everybody seems to be all in as long as we're building houses that reflect our community, which is a blue collar community. We need to make sure that we're building houses out there that are between $150,000 and $200,000. And we need to make sure that the duplexes and the apartment buildings, that the rent is reflective of our community, so that's affordable. Right now, we have a situation where people can't move to the city because there's absolutely no housing or no apartments available. So as long as we're developing that out there to reflect our city, and we're not building $300,000 to $400,000 homes, the citizens and the businesses in this community are all in. And I think the other problem with it is that a lot of people during the pandemic just retired, and I don't necessarily believe that it's because people are just lazy. And I also believe that the other problem with it is affordable daycare.
Okay, thank you. Rick, the question is to you next. Mayor Dodd.
Yeah, our policies for new and expanding businesses are streamlined to make the process simple and faster. We have some of the out-of-state businesses that we brought in comment on what a pleasure it was to work with our staff compared to other municipalities where they've gone. The housing study that was just done in 2021 indicated there's a significant number of workers commuting into Portage. Approximately 1,700 people commute into Portage every day. And one of the best ways to improve the business climate is to increase the affordable housing available for workers. Adding housing will provide opportunities within the city to live and may allow these commuters or residents within Portage. Businesses would then be able to retain high-performing employees because they would have ties to the community if they own a home within the community.
Okay, thank you. Nina, Kyle's response.
Firstly, the smart growth policy, taking a strategic approach to growth with clear targets, both in the public and private sector. Then there is investment, support for the enterprise and entrepreneurship, appropriate regulation and incentives, and effective long-term city planning and open communication. Doing more with less, unlocking efficiency by harnessing business expertise, technology, and data, while deploying private sector investment and developing well-executed public-private partnerships. Winning support for change policy, building a shared long-term vision of the future through deep, sustained interaction between the city of Portage and business, supported by stakeholder engagement, consensus, mutual accountability, and quantifiable goals and performance management systems.
Okay, thank you. Our third question, Mayor Dodd, you will start this question off for us so that you can prepare. The third question is, if this is a twofold question, Do you think the mayor should always support raising taxes rather than cutting services? How would you justify either to the residents who live here?
I think the key word here is always. I believe every year the city reviews the operational budget to look for areas to reduce spending in order to keep our taxes within the constituents placed on every municipality. Taxes within the constraints placed on every municipality here in the state. Every year budget preparation, we review where we stand relative to comparable communities. And in 2021, we compared our tax base with Baraboo, Reedsburg, Marinette, and Monroe. The mill rate, which is the cost per $1,000 of assessment for Portage, was less than Baraboo, Reedsburg, and Monroe. The mill rate since 2016 has remained virtually flat, and the budget development process begins every year around August to September timeframe. And the citizens and all the persons may always attend these meetings and make suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the question is to you, Mitch.
Well, I believe that when it comes to services, there's a certain level of expectations of the citizens on what they expect from services. I believe that those services are being met. I've never heard anybody in the city ever say that they feel that we need more services. And in the same breath, I also believe that you don't ever take away services from the citizens. That's what they're paying taxes for. They expect services. So I don't believe that you ever take that away from them. And if you do everything right in your budget, there's absolutely no reason to ever raise taxes in order to still maintain the same level of services that you already have. Thank you.
Thank you. Nina, could you read Kyle's response, please?
Yes, all services get paid for by taxes, but only if we create a sustainable economic development to bring in a new tax base on new, so it's not a burden on the existing.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, and Nina, so you can prepare, Kyle's response will be first for this one. Again, it's a two-part question. What grade would you give Portage City government on engagement with the residents and businesses? What could be done to improve engagement and get more residents to be involved?
I would give it a C. What could be done for improvement for engagement is to supply the right tools, give individual attention, listen to employees, get social, serve others, the community. Recognize proudly and loudly the wins with the community and city by inviting each other out to celebrate.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Dodd, you're up next to answer this one.
I would give it a B rating. And up until 2020 shutdown, I held public listening sessions where citizens could attend and ask questions. These listening sessions were free-form question and answers. I always presented an update to the projects and any issues that were at the time. Citizens could ask questions on any topic they desired. I have always been open to questions and comments from citizens by phone, email, or in person. We have over 25 committees and commissions that have citizen membership. Some of these commissions and committees are entirely composed of citizens. All of these meetings are open to the public, so anyone can attend and speak on an agenda item. Personnel issues were not allowed to be discussed in public and are still not allowed under the recent public comment discussion. We could issue a survey to gather citizens' input on ideas or comments to improve engagement.
Thank you. Mitch, your response.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to give a grade. I don't feel that it's right for the current people who work for our city government. I don't think it's fair to them to grade them because everybody has a different perspective of how they see city government. So I'm going to talk more or less about what kind of mayor I'm going to be. I'm a very hands-on person. I'm the kind of guy that when there's an issue, I'm going to go out to the citizens of Portage. I'm not going to wait for them to come to City Hall. I'm going to go out and engage with them in their community and get their perspective on what they see and sit down and talk with small businesses at their place of business, not over at City Hall, and find out how they feel about issues and what direction they'd like to see the city go in. And I'd also, as far as the city employees go, I'm the kind of mayor that would go down there and I'll get on the city truck with the city employees and work with them for the day. And I'll work with the different departments, the water department, park and recs, and be hands-on and get the job from their perspective to see how we can improve their job and how we can make their job better and more productive. Because I think that's what you need to do is get involved with the business owners and go down there and meet them at their place of business. Don't wait for them to come to you, go to them. Show them that you care about them. Let them know that what their input really matters, and it does matter. And that we're not waiting for them to come to us, that we're going to them because their input is very important to the future of our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question, so you can prepare, Mitch, you will be answering first on this one. Again, it's a twofold question that was submitted. Do you feel there should be a stricter ordinance and more enforcement of city regulations to ask residents and business owners to clean up their properties and not leave them run down for years? And if so, how would you make changes to the current city regulations?
Definitely, my answer is yes. As a city, we're waiting way too long to take care of and correct these problems. We need to be more proactive so that we show the citizens and other people visiting our community that we care about our city. And do I believe in stricter enforcement? Absolutely. What that would look like, before I can give you an honest answer, I'd have to evaluate our current city ordinances at a greater depth. They seem to be very vague to me. And the other thing I'd like to do is reach out to other cities. We're not the only city that has this problem. And reach out to other cities and talk to them and find out what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And then I'd like to sit down with the city attorney and find out what is enforceable by law and what are the state statutes on that, and come up with a good solid plan that is executed in a very timely manner, not waiting years and years and years and years before we do anything to correct these problems.
Okay, thank you. Nina, Kyle's response is next, please.
Each case would be considerably different as approached by local law enforcement. I do, however, believe when asked by the city to respond or to respond to any complaint, it should be addressed. I don't believe we need stricter ordinances, but better enforcement. As for the current ordinance, I do feel this would need to be explored more with the community. As it is now, I would not change the ordinance. Section 5371, storage of junk vehicles, appliances, and debris is restricted. Section 5372, applicability of division. Section 5373, definitions. Section 5374, exceptions. Section 5376, penalty. And finally, Section 5377-5399, reserved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Dodd, your response, please.
Stricter ordinances are not the answer. In some cases, our hands are tied by state laws. Many of the residential offenders are homes that were converted into apartments. State regulations changed a few years ago to restrict municipal governments from randomly inspecting these dwellings without first having a complaint filed against it. For improving private housing, We have a zero interest loan program that would allow residents to make improvements, and applicants do not have to repay those loans until they move or sell their houses. For businesses, we have a facade loan program. This is where business can borrow money to remodel their business. A few businesses have taken advantage of it. As I stated, stricter ordinances are not the answer, but better enforcement of the ordinances we have to get the offenders is warranted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. To prepare, Mayor Dodd, you will be up next for this question. Recently, repair work was completed on Wisconsin and DeWitt streets to update infrastructure. Do you support more borrowing to replace and repair the city's aging infrastructure?
Yes, I do support borrowing for the infrastructure. The Wisconsin DeWitt Street project was a 2-year project. And last year, the state reconstructed the driving lanes, and in 2020, the city replaced water, sanitary sewers, and the stormwater infrastructure along that street. We also upgraded Thompson Street with curb and gutter and a bicycle lane in preparation for the closure. Because of our expenditure restraints, the city has been borrowing money for major infrastructure projects since the late 2000s. We will continue to borrow monies for the large infrastructure projects that have a lifespan of 15 to 20 years. And for transportation projects that last 5 to 7 years, chip sealing and crack filling, we will continue to use the local vehicle registration fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch, you are up next to answer that question.
Yes, I am in favor of borrowing more money to fix the infrastructure. As I stated before, it's a vital part of our city. It needs to show, it shows businesses that want to come here that we're progressive and forward thinking and that we care about the future of our city. And I believe I already gave my views on it, you know, the need to sit down with the different department heads and list the priorities that need to be fixed. And like I said before, we come up with a good 5-year and 10-year plan. About 20 some years ago, we had a very good solid plan on fixing infrastructure. And unfortunately, there was about a 10-year gap there where we did very little to our infrastructure system. And now as a city, we're way behind. And unfortunately, we're going to have to continue borrowing money in order to keep up to date and keep fixing and repairing our infrastructure plan. We also need to look at the state to borrow, to look at the different ways that we can get more internet accessibility to all of our citizens. They have a lot of grant programs out there right now through the state that the city should be utilizing in order to make sure that all of our citizens are able to have a reliable internet service.
Thank you. Nina, could you please read Kyle's response to this question?
This is a short one. Yes, only in conjunction with economic development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. To prepare Nina, Kyle's response will come up for this next question. The city is receiving over $1 million from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. It has been previously stated that the city of Portage would look to use these funds for infrastructure and sustainability projects. What recommendations would you suggest to City Council for these dollars if you become mayor?
100% into affordable residential development and to assist those developers. The tax revenue from the developments would be additional funds into infrastructure and sustainable projects. Thank you.
Mayor Dodd, your response to this question.
These dollars will be allocated by an ad hoc committee formed to provide recommendations to the council. In January, the rules on eligible projects was issued by the federal government. As this committee has yet to be identified, no projects have been identified. My goal would be that infrastructure is going to be the major part of these projects. As an example, with Portage being the third oldest community in the state, we have many lead pipe water laterals. Putting aside a portion of the ARPA funds to help with the replacement of these lead water laterals is just one idea. The rest are yet to be determined.
Thank you. Mitch, your response to this question.
I would suggest putting all the money into roads. So it's without a doubt the #1 complaint that you hear from citizens every single day. They don't believe that we're doing a good job on keeping up with the reconstruction and the maintenance of our roads. And it's something that you drive on and that you see every single day. And there's a lot of streets in this city that people don't even drive down unless they live there or they're visiting someone who does live there, because the roads are in such poor condition. I'd make a list of all the roads that need to be repaired in this city, and with the money allocated, fix every single road that is possible with the money that's given to the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. To prepare, Mitch, you will answer the next question first. What are your 3 top priorities for change in the city of Portage over the next 3 years if you were to become mayor?
Fixing the roads and the aging infrastructure, cultivating a better working relationship with Columbia County. We are the county seat, and we need to have a much better and a more solid working relationship with Columbia County, and also with the downtown business district. We have a program in place for the businesses in downtown Portage. It's called the Bid District. Everybody pays taxes in the city. The businesses in downtown Portage pay an extra tax. And currently, we do not have a very good working relationship between our city administration and the Bid District. I would like to bring downtown Portage back to a place of destination and not just an afterthought. And also to improve the accessibility to City Hall for the citizens with more input and more direction on what they want to see out of the city, instead of the people at the City Hall making the decision on the direction and the future of our city. Have the citizens make the decision on the future and the direction of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Nina, please read Kyle's response to this question.
Economic development, affordable housing, and infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Dodd, your response to this question.
My top 3 priorities are making Portage a bigger, better, safer place to live, work, and play. First, we need more housing. Our residential housing needs to grow more than 4 to 7 owner-occupied houses a year. In order to do that, we need to have a housing subdivision that will support growth. We have a good start on this with the North Side subdivision project of 90+ residential building lots. The last couple of years, we've had a builder come in to the city and build 5 to 8 houses. The building trade programs from the high school has built each of the last 5 to 7 years. All of these houses are now owner occupied. While this is good, it's not enough to move Portage forward. Second, we need to increase the tax base. Economic growth has been very good over the past 3 to 5 years. We've attracted businesses from out of state as far away as New Jersey. Many of them indicating that they were impressed with our ability to move fast while still accommodating their requirements. If we do the first 2 right here, we should be able to grow the tax base of Portage and not overtax our current citizens. Third, keeping Portage safe. Our police and fire department is one, if not the best in the area. Both of these departments need to be funded appropriately, keep them in highly effective state that they're in. And by the way, our current tax rate is still lower than Baraboo, Reedsburg, and Monroe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nina, so you can prepare Kyle's response will be first for this next question. Again, this is a two-part question that was submitted to us. Many community organizations have fundraised to build amenities for our city. Who is or should be responsible to maintain these facilities since they are now built? With budgets at such tight restrictions, how do you decide what level of money is reserved for each of these amenities, knowing you don't have enough money in the budget to cover them all?
The city and the approach would be collaborative. A cost and common sense approach should be used. We all work together by raising the funds and had city involvement. We can use the collaboration on each amenity once again. Using leverage from the city marketing to get the word out and putting local businesses on much higher national platforms will help in full circle with driving business and ease the burden for any local in-kind donation. Working hard for grants together is a necessity. City and service conjunctively never stop. Sometimes watching at what speed you build and maintain is important when it comes to cost as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Dodd, your response to this question.
We have recently instituted a requirement for all completed projects that were donated to the city of having written requirements for maintenance before they're turned over to the city. We're currently working with two organizations to get this information. While this requirement is limited to new amenities, there is still a wealth of city-owned buildings and amenities that need to be maintained. To that end, every budget cycle, the maintenance requirements are prioritized and placed in the budget for all the city-owned properties and buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch, your response to this question, please.
I believe that the city is responsible. I mean, these all these amenities are on city property. A lot of organizations work very hard to raise money, donated their time, their effort and everything to improve the quality of life in our city and to provide these amenities. And I don't believe that they should be held responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep of these things. These people have done wonderful things in our community, and it's another great asset of our community that so many people are willing to donate their time and money and effort to bring these amenities to our cities, and they shouldn't be held accountable for the maintenance of these things that they have done to bring the quality of life, to make it better in the city of Portage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Here's at the point where I have told all the candidates that I reserve the right to ask a follow-up question. Nina will not be responding to this question. Kyle is aware of this, that because he is not here in person, we would not be addressing her to answer a follow-up question. I'm going to start back with Mayor Dodd. Could you give us more specific details on this question in the sense of, if you were asked that you had to cut numbers from the budget so that you can maintain one amenity versus another amenity, how do you think you do that? How do you be fair so that all amenities can receive the right amount of maintenance that they may need, knowing that there are I believe there's over 15 parks in the city of Portage? How do you be fair to ensure that each of these receive maintenance every year?
Well, I don't think everyone requires maintenance every year. There is pieces of every park that probably requires upkeep. And to that point, maintenance would include, if maintenance includes mowing the grass and keeping the amenities going, yes, we do that now. We currently have, like I said, every year we look at what needs to be maintained within the city, both from the amenities of the park standpoint and the buildings that we own, because we own both City Hall, the City Garage, Water Department, museums, and the library, so that we are constantly looking at requirements to be placed on the budget. When I mentioned that we're looking for written requirements of maintenance, it is not the fact that we're asking those organizations who donated that project to do the maintenance, but we need to know what we need to maintain so that we can adequately prepare our budgets in order to do the maintenance in a timely manner that keeps the projects and keeps the projects that have been donated looking good and wanting to be used within the city. So I don't think there's an answer here that's going to come out to say we're going to cut maintenance on certain areas. We just need to be smart on how we budget our money. We have a lot of projects and a lot of amenities, which includes the park and the beach, and all of the city-owned buildings. We need to make sure that we can afford to keep these amenities in the condition that the citizens are asking us to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch, can you follow up with that one as well for us?
Sure. I just think if you come up with a good solid plan, it's just like Rick said, that not all places need maintenance every single year. So I think you just need to sit down and evaluate each one and what ones you need to do on what years and what needs to be done, and then you come up with the plan and write a budget accordingly. Like I said, I mean, people in the city expect amenities, and some of the people have worked really hard to bring them to our city. So we need to make sure that we ensure that they are well maintained, and so that people feel good about using them. And I think if you just do it the right way, the smart way, I don't think there's an issue with that.
Okay, thank you for that follow-up. The next question, Mayor Dodd, you will be the first up to answer this one. Do you support spending tax dollars to create more walking and biking paths in the city of Portage?
Yes, I support that 100% because these type of amenities, they're quality of life items, and others such as parks, beach, better library services will bring visitors and future residents into the city. So these are not supported just by tax dollars, but they're also supported by private donations and grants we apply for when and where available. So yes, I do support it 100%.
Thank you. Mitch, you're next to answer this question.
Yes, I'm 100% in favor of it. I think a healthy city is good for everyone. And I think it shows that the city is progressive and forward thinking in bringing these, the biking paths and the walking paths to the city of Portage. I think it's a great thing. I'm all in favor of it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to bring more of them to the city of Portage.
Nina, Kyle's response, please.
Yes, only with new additional economic development that spurs additional tax revenue, so it does not burden the existing. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be our last and final question before we allow the candidates to give their closing statements. The last question is, and we will start with Mayor Dodd with your response first. Do you support the reconstructing of the grandstands at Veterans Memorial Field? And if so, how do you think it should be paid for?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer, but my long-term answer is yes. But it's not quite as simple as that because the grandstand's use has to be more than once a year use for the county fair. It needs to be a venue that helps support itself. There's a group that's being reinvigorated to help with the revitalization of the grandstand. The city is working in cooperation with this group, and we are also working to implement a Veterans Memorial Field master plan that was completed in 2015. So we are behind doing this, but we need the commitment that the venues are going to be there to help support itself.
Thank you. Nina, Kyle's response, please.
Yes, as former vice president of Save the Grandstand Incorporated, the first thing is getting involved. Then the real open communication and support will land this project on its feet. I believe that grants can significantly fund much of this. Many other funding sources become available when the city begins to serve that little bit extra. It's not limited to just grants. We have sponsorship opportunities that can serve as funding again, not limited to just this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch, your response to this question, please.
Well, I guess what I would like to do first is I'd like to meet with Columbia County, the Fair Board, and the citizens of Portage who are on both sides of this issue, and sit down and talk with them and get their input from them. And a number of years ago, like Rick said, I mean, our city paid for an overall plan down there in the whole area for the fairgrounds, the soccer field, and the ball diamonds. And unfortunately, we did not follow the plan. And so now we are behind. And the other thing that people look at is, yeah, so we bring more events to the grandstands. Well, what about parking? I mean, even during the fair, there's a huge issue with parking down there. So what's the plan for parking? And then and then based off of all that information, then I can give a recommendation. But I will tip my hand a little bit and say, as we always are in Portage saying we're historic Portage. So we need to decide as a city, are we truly historic Portage or are we not? And if we are historic Portage, then we definitely should reconstruct the grandstand. If we decide as a city that we don't want to be historic Portage anymore, then I guess we should do something different. But until I get information from all these people, it would be unfair to say whether I'm in favor or whether I'm not, because I don't have enough information from all these different people and different entities in order to give you a fair, honest answer. But I believe I already tipped my hand on what I'm in favor of. So.
Okay, thank you. So we will have our closing statements at this point, and just a reminder, each candidate receives 2 minutes for the closing statements, the order that they will go in so that you can prepare. Nina will read Kyle's response first, then we will go to Mayor Dodd, and then Mitch, you will have the last closing statement. So Nina, if you would read Kyle's response, please.
People say that Portage residents don't want change, that they are reluctant to change. Those people are wrong. Very, very wrong. When I go out in the community and I talk to people, they are ready to change. Portage may need a little bit more convincing than other folks, maybe. And they have a right to be a little cynical, because after all, their government over the last 30 years hasn't changed much. But the city that the government has changed. And what we need to do is give that possibility for change a chance. When I go around to people, my message resonates. People listen. They believe in my message. They agree with my message. What they're doubtful of is that anything is going to change. And I want to tell them you're wrong. Everything can change if you believe and you are willing to make that commitment. If you give me that opportunity, I will deliver that change for you. As you can see from my remarks this evening, I am convinced that the future of this great city is bright. But I also understand and I commit every day to work hard to achieve the community's goals. I will take the duty head on, hit the ground running, and lead with energy, enthusiasm, and hope. Since 2016, I have accomplished many things. I have been able to build my team. I have refined and defined an agenda for Portage. But as I said before, much work remains to be done. Let me tell you about what I see in the future. I see a city with a balanced budget. While some people keep on insisting that the city is broke, I will work to put millions into the bank to begin to address the huge debts that my administration has inherited. I see financial strength in this city's future. The city of my future offers good 21st.
I have to interrupt you. We're past the 2-minute mark on Kyle's response there. Mayor Dodd, your response is next.
Thank you. In closing, I'd like to thank the Chamber for organizing this forum. As I've stated earlier, that my goal is to make Portage a bigger, better, safer place to live. That encompasses all aspects of Portage and is not limited to just infrastructure or interaction with other local government entities. It means we all need to work with everyone and all organizations. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is out of reach. I look forward to continuing to work with the citizens in addition to the county, healthcare, and educational entities. I will continue to make Portage a bigger, safer, and better place to live, work, and play. I want to thank all the citizens of Portage for their past support and look forward to their continued support in the near future. Please get out and vote on February 15th. Good night, and God bless Portage. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch, your response as the closing statement?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mary Ann and the Chamber for putting on this event tonight. And I believe that all three candidates, we're all running for the mayor for the same reason, because we care about the city of Portage. And it basically comes down to a couple things. I mean, if you're happy with the way the city's being run in the current city government, then vote for Rick Dodd. If you're looking for something different, looking for a change, somebody who's going to get the community and the business and the citizens and the businesses more involved in the major decisions that go on in our city, then vote for me, because that's what's going to happen. I believe that the citizens should have a lot more say about the direction and the future of our city than they do right now. And like I said, we need to be more active in going out into the community and sitting down with them at their place of business, at their home, and finding out about how they feel about issues and not waiting for them to come to us. Because in the past, every time they've come to City Hall to express their opinions at public open forums, nothing has ever changed. And before we come up with the plan of how we're going to move forward on larger, more important issues, that we need to make them involved in that long before we ever formulate a plan. They need to be part of the plan, not have their input after we've already come up with the plan. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you to all the candidates this evening for participating. We do want to remind people that the primary is on Tuesday, February 15th, to get out and vote. And again, if you have specific questions, please reach out to these candidates individually so that they may answer those questions for you. Thanks for being with us tonight, and have a good evening.